Hey, my name is Brian Curtis, and I'm the founder of Decentralized Systems. Today, I have Sarah Scala here with me today, who's a business consultant, correct? Yeah, so I think we were talking a little bit before we started here, but tell me again what businesses you serve and how you serve them, and then I'll follow up with another question after that.
Excellent. So my name is Sarah Scala. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a high energy talent management leader, and I'm focused on increasing client revenue, reducing turnover, and creating business value. And I do this, Brian, through executive coaching, organization development, learning strategy, LGBTQ leadership coaching. I moderate a lot of panels and through change management. In terms of what industries do I support? Sheesh, everything from consumer packaged goods and biotech, pharma, life science, to financial services, to real estate, to power, renewable energies, many different industries, which keeps it fun because there's never a dull moment.
All right, awesome. So you probably have a couple of different coaching styles then. If you're coaching just senior management, you're different than coaching groups, right? Do you usually coach senior management in groups
I
also, or
coach executive teams, I coach boards of directors, and then I one-on-one coach leaders and executives as well.
okay? So how would you say your time is most spent? Mostly in the leadership, or maybe bigger groups, say whole companies? Do you teach many of the like frontline employees, or do you kind of stay out of that area?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the company and their culture and the size of it. I have some companies that are 100 to 150 employees. And so when they bring me in to do leadership development or coach some of their teams, often it's enterprise wide. Then I have clients who are Fortune 100 companies. And for me as a solopreneur to support every employee globally, multiple hundreds of thousands of people, doesn't make sense and isn't possible. And so in those cases, it's very specific. Am I working with the executive team? Am I supporting one of their employee resource groups or business resource groups? Or am I speaking at one of their town meetings or global conferences? It really depends.
Okay, so you do just a lot of different stuff, it sounds like. That sounds like a really good job. How well do you enjoy it? Do you like it a lot?
I love it. I've been doing this type of work for over 20 years, and my company has its 10-year birthday the beginning of September. So I really enjoy it. And it
Nice.
ebbs and flows, what people are looking for, what their organization needs or wants is always unique.
Sure. Yeah, so I always ask this question to other people that are on the podcast. You know, what changes have you seen in the last 12 months, for businesses that you're serving? Are they asking for different kind of coaching? And how has your coaching had to change, to serve maybe that changing climate, right? Because we've had this big workforce reduction in the last 8 months, and I don't know if that's been a part of your coaching techniques or not.
So when it comes to workforce planning or succession or the strategy, I do that less and less in a coaching form and much more consulting
Okay.
with human resources, where we're putting together strategies about what the business needs today and then in the near future. I know, 10 years ago, people would say, oh, what's your 10-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? Unless you're, a huge major global Fortune 50 company, you're not necessarily looking that far out. And so sometimes I'm brought in to coach people, but a lot of the time when it comes to workforce planning, it's consulting, it's sometimes coaching the boards of directors for what they see as the future of the department, division, or company. But in
Mhm.
terms of one-on-one coaching, what shifted and changed? A couple things, I think, over the past few years. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, my business went 100% virtual. So
Right.
all my global conferences that would have been in the Netherlands or would have been in Las Vegas, all of a sudden were at home. All of my coaching work, virtual. All of my leadership development curriculum, which would normally take, a day or two, was broken into bite-sized chunks multiple times. And so looking at the design shifts that were required to be 100% virtual was a change. But I also think what I'm hearing for clients is twofold, depending on the industry and the company. Some are trying to figure out how can we get and retain more people because we don't have enough.
Right.
Others are in industries that are now starting to push back, now starting to freeze hiring, now starting to even, let go of some staff. And it's very much about how do we keep delivering, or how do they keep delivering to their clients? But more importantly, how do we keep our culture? How do we keep people here who we want to keep? And how do we continue to be seen as a great place to work?
Yeah, I had Joe English and Jim Kerr on yesterday, and we kind of went over inflation, and he said a lot of businesses are doing the same thing. As inflation's going up, they're kind of restricting their hiring now, and they're just kind of going to take a pause and see how the market reacts, right? So, how much of issue have you dealt with communication as far as your coaching? Because communication breakdowns happened. It doesn't matter which industry you're in. When once COVID hit, people had to first learn how to figure out how to overcome all these virtual problems, and a lot of people never used it before, right? They never used virtual atmosphere at work, and so there has been I witnessed quite a few communication breakdowns in some companies that I was in. But I'd just like to hear maybe your experience and maybe techniques or what you're encouraging people to do to overcome those things.
Definitely. So with my client, looking at communication has two sides, right?
Sure.
And I apologize if you're hearing my next door neighbor's lawnmower. There's nothing I can do in the background. So apologies to the audience, but there's two sides to that coin, right? How much and how well and how frequently are we communicating? Is it overkill? Are we having too many Zoom meetings?
Right.
Other side that I think is even more important is how to be an effective, deep listener. How can I really tune in to what my employees are going through, what their evolving and changing needs are, and how I can best support them. And although a lot of people feel like, oh, COVID-19, that's come and gone and it's over, for many people, it hasn't come and gone. Now they're still trying to juggle taking care of their kids or childcare. They're still trying to manage possibly working from home, or now that there's been a slight shift in some companies to now having to come back all the time, it's been a complete regroup. How do I manage my commute with increasing fuel or commuter fares? Who's going to take care of my kid after school now that I can't be home like I was for the past 1, 2, 3 years? So sometimes it's navigating that, it's understanding and listening and trying to support in the best way that people can, right? What can I do to take away this hurdle? How can I help the employee feel like they can trust me? I'm having engagements that are psychologically safe for them, and I'm trying to really remove any of those hurdles that folks have. And sometimes leaders and executives that I'm coaching haven't been faced with a transition or a shift quite like the COVID pandemic brought, at least to us in the United States.
Right. I'm glad to hear you say that, though, because that's one of my chief things that I really go after and try and teach people is that you really have to be supportive of whatever people are going through. You can't just do, employee turnovers. That doesn't work, right? If you just do employee turnovers and you're not comfortable with supporting whatever they're going through, you're going to pay the price in the long run, because usually people are an investment, right? We're investing in each other all the time. And I think it really shows when you can continue to support somebody no matter what they're going through. And it creates trust, and it creates an atmosphere where everybody feels like they're investing in each other, and that it breaks down, communication gaps. Everything works better when we're supporting each other. And it doesn't matter if it's just at home too, it's at work, or at work, it's at home. When you're supporting each other at home, that it makes a big difference, and it makes your day at work go quicker too. And you can get home and you're being supported there too. So
absolutely,
I applaud you for that one.
Oh, thank you. And a lot of my clients have been requesting work with me around psychological safety, right? How do we help our leaders make a culture and environment that is psychologically safe for our teams? Because people won't innovate, people won't take risks, and people won't stay with you on your team if they don't feel psychologically safe to be there. And it's just like trust in the sense, Brian, that it takes a long time to build trust and it feels like seconds or minutes to lose it. And so it's not a check done type of a competency or culture or behavior. It's a constant maintenance of helping people feel welcomed, like they belong, like they're included, and that it's safe to give us some crazy different ideas, to innovate, and to suggest possible changes and also products.
Yeah, like you said, it's how someone feels. You might think that you're supporting somebody, but if they don't feel like they're being supported, you're going to get the same results as if you weren't doing anything. So, in your own mind, you might feel like you're being supportive, but you really have to listen, like you said, and make sure that you are getting the right feedback so that whoever it is you're dealing with is feeling supported. I know I could tell you all kinds of stories, where I thought I was being supportive and it turns out that I wasn't, right? I should have been thinking differently. I should have been asking, I should have been listening better, but everyone grows. We're all we're all growing, right?
Always, always. And, I encourage leaders to have reciprocal feedback sessions. When you're giving feedback to your direct report or members of your team, find ways they can feel safe giving you feedback as well. Whether it's a quick pulse check survey, or you get to a place where you can ask them in one-on-ones, help me understand how I'm doing. What are some ways I can better support you? And what are some things I'm doing that you find really helpful as well?
Nice. Yeah, well, thanks for coming with me today. I want you to tell me at least one story that you've got, maybe that you'd like to share. Over the last 10 years, you have to have at least one really good, interesting story. Maybe it was a cool place you went and visited, or it was just a bunch of people that you met in a business that you maybe took you out and saw a neat place, or
Cool stories. I have one client that is a world leader in a consumer packaged good. And once the pandemic hit, demand for their product was so astronomically high that they were trying to balance production of these products that we eat and bake and cook with. And while, making shifts to other part of the businesses that wasn't in demand during the pandemic. This client I've had the honor to support. They were my very first client. They continue to be a client today, 10 years later, off and on. And I've had the awesome opportunity to design their succession plan with their executive team, to do enterprise-wide leadership development, to coach some of their critical teams, to do leadership development work. And I think the best part, not only are they an amazing company, they're always ranked a top 10 best place to work in their state. But every single time I'm there on site, because they're a consumer packaged goods company, the food and beverage I eat is out of this world. So that's always fun. I can always count on a great lunch or a nice, breakfast. I love eating. So that's sort of the icing on the cake, Brian. Whenever I go there to work, to facilitate, to speak, I know I'm always going to eat very well.
Well, that's not a vice. I like to eat too. Who doesn't like to eat?
I know.
Well, that's actually awesome, because especially when you feel like you've done something for somebody and they can count on you, and you've developed that relationship where it's just, it's less about the money and more about the relationships, right?
Yeah, and I think because I've had the opportunity over the past decade to work with so many people and every single leader, when I walk in, I know the head of certain divisions and they bring me a fresh baked loaf of bread, or, hey, this is for you. Anytime you're in the area, come right on over. Our team, we love your work. Come over, we'll give you some fresh bread, which may not seem like a big deal, but at the culture with this company, it really means a lot.
Well, if we weren't seeing virtually, I would have brought you something. I'm sorry, I didn't bring you anything today. No
That's
cookies
okay. No problem, Brian. I'll let this one slide.
Okay. Well, if you don't have any other stories for me, I guess we can call it a day. But thanks for showing up today. I really love meeting you. And, I'm always interested in meeting more people, but I'd love to keep in touch with you and just follow your career and see how you do.
Thanks so much, Brian. I appreciate this opportunity. It's been fun.
All right. Thanks, Sarah. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.